What's the worst thing a good guy ever did in a children's movie or show? Tinkin Peter Pan is an absolute monster. She tried to get the Lost Boys to murder Wendy. The whole film is full of abhorrent morality. The Kid, Greg, IDK, from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. He freaking shuns his best friend for clout, breaks his arm, throws kids in a ditch in the rain, shoots on his friend's comic idea, and blames his friend getting him fired from being a hall monitor. Lab rats. The dad inventor kept the kids in cages, and it wasn't until he married and got a stepson that they got rescued. Then everyone was all, oh well, good times. Princess Poppy in the Trolls movie. The whole problem and everyone nearly dying was all because she couldn't accept and let someone be happy not singing and dancing. I think they handled her better in the second film when Branch outright tells her she's not listening to anyone and making things worse. Batman shutting down a machine that was turning Matt Hagen aka Clayface back into a human because he was using an experimental thing stolen from his company. I never hated Batman more than that moment because Task Clayface is the most tragic frickin' creature of a man there ever was. Ron Perlman always made me cry when he had that first moment where he says I'm not even a man. I cry every time. In the episode he's falling apart and dying, then when he's there on the precipice of becoming human again, he can feel it. Batman tosses a batarang and cuts off the flow of the chemical. Freaking hated him for that. Here's my entry to help get conversation going. In the 2005 Disney movie Chicken Little, the school bully, Foxy Loxy, gets teleported by aliens and suffers brain damage resulting in a massive personality change. When the aliens move to return her to normal, Runt of the litter stops them, saying she was now perfect. It's then implied the two become romantically involved. Let's not forget Buck Cluck being a really crap father to Chicken Little. Frickin' this whole movie just sucks LMAO. In Wizards of Waverly Place, the whole concept of the family wizard competition is super fricked up and immoral. Basically, when all the children of a family come of age, they compete to see who's the best wizard, and the ones who lose are stripped of their powers. Imagine if we had our kids take a vision test and blinded the ones who fail. Anyways, there was a recurring character who was friends with the main cast who was later revealed to be leading a revolution to overthrow this system. The entire main cast labels her as evil, puts a stop to her plan, and then literally murders her at the end. Sporticus and Stephanie treating Robbie Rotten badly, all because he didn't want to be active. Let him live in Lazzytown in peace. Those two came to a place literally called Lazzytown and tried to force everyone to be more active and stuff. If anything, Robbie Rotten should have been the hero for trying to maintain how the town should be. In the 4th season of Winx Club, the main characters get a new power up, the Believix, and it is a mess. They each get a new power to use at their own discretion. Here is a quick description of what these powers let them do. 1. Strength of life. Bloom. It lets her make people believe in magic and help them overcome their weaknesses. She decides what qualifies as a weakness. She overrides a person's free will to make them believe in magic, which just so happens to make the girl stronger, and rewrite their personality if she doesn't like it. 2. Dawn of Light. Stellar. It lets her make people more cooperative and accepting. Basically, she overrides another person's free will so they do what she says. 3. Breath of the World. Flora. It lets her make people show more appreciation for nature. Nice on paper, but it basically makes people ignore potentially more important tasks, or forego certain technologies, in favor of nature. 4. Bright Heart. Musa. This is actually the most normal, because aside from the usual of making people believe in magic, its only other effect is to convince people that they can change. 5. Gem of Mind. Tekna. To quote the official description of this ability, she can use it to make people think correctly. I think that's enough info. She decides how people should think, and magically imposes that way of thinking onto them. 6. Spirit of Courage Aisha. This is also very basic, the same as the first one with the added bonus of making people braver, but one use in particular rubbed me the wrong way. In one scene, she made a girl walk through a wall of fire to escape a burning building. The girl with water magic just made a girl walk through fire. The girl with water magic whose best friend is on the way to becoming an insufferable Mary Sue, and whose fire magic can extinguish any flame with a snap of her fingers. There was literally no need to endanger that girl like that. They had 2 people on scene who could have not only saved the building, but also all 6 of them could have repaired it with magic. Overall, those girls are a threat to society. They're emotionally unstable, have 0 coping mechanisms for when they get sad, and are basically demigods. Musa once saw her BF with another woman, and she just ran away crying like a kid. She has sound bass powers. She could have easily listened what they were saying. I'm here for this analysis of Winx Club. Tried to watch a couple episodes with my kid sister for the first time in years and found it jarring, to say the least. In High School Musical, when everyone manipulates Troy into saying he doesn't care about Gabriella at all while recording the whole thing so that she sees it. God, if I was Troy and learned about that, I'd have quit the basketball team. If my friends couldn't stand by me and sold me out like that, there's no reason for me to be with them. In the Rapunzel TV series, there's a controversial episode in which Rapunzel, after having an argument with Eugene in which she disagrees with his advice, accidentally goes back in time to a point when Eugene was a thieving teen. During this episode, she appears as one of the Stubbington brothers and ends up changing Eugene's views in the future to match hers by the end of the show. Eugene has no idea this has even happened. It's pretty controversial because while Rapunzel didn't mean to do it, she sort of forced a core personality change in him, and the show never really addressed the argument because Eugene is just like, I don't know why we were arguing before because I agree in the end of the episode. Land Before Time. When they are sleeping in the footprint and Sarah tried to wake them up gently and quietly, Littlefoot starts being loud and attracts the sharp tooth, causing him to lose the last gift his mother ever gave him, a tree star. Till her name was Sarah and not Sarah. I apologize if this has already been covered, but Santa Claus is a total butthole in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I can understand the young reindeer making fun of Rudolph's red nose. Kids are mean and will easily make fun of someone for being different. But then Santa walks in. He could have set everyone straight right there, explained how it's our differences that make everyone special and all of that. He readily agrees with everyone that Rudolph is a lost cause and even tells Donna he should be ashamed of his son's red nose. The frick? Until he needs him, then all of a sudden he's part of the group and useful and liked. That's some fitting or go fricking die if I ever saw it. Carly from iCarly was in a chat. Remember that episode where she is attracted to a guy because he stole his brother's motorcycle, and then he dumps him because he was not manly enough because he collects plushies? Schneider's humor was so mean-spirited overall. At the beginning of Megamind, when they were just school kids, Metroman is literally responsible for turning Megamind to villainy by ostracizing and bullying him. It turned out okay in the end, but it's bothersome that he never addressed or apologized for his behavior. To be fair, he was not a good guy of the movie. Him being a douche was the point. The third Hokage really had Naruto living by himself. Poor, begging the ramen man to feed him. All this after promising his dying parents that he would take care of him. He was basically the ruler of the village and let the kid live in poverty for no reason. The parents and parent trap. Let's separate our twins. Take one each and never tell our respective child that she has a sister. WTF. This got referenced in a book I read years ago and it really didn't get across how fricked up it is. Goku giving Perfect Cell a goddamn sense of being right before his emotional teenage son fought him to the death over the fate of Earth. Mr. Krabs drove his rival, Plankton, to suicide by stalking and harassing him in a pearl costume in the one-course meal episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. Just saw an ep of Teen Titans the other day and they spent nearly a whole episode trying to escape this witch that had mind-controlled them and was trying to eat them. When they finally trap her back in the cursed pie, it's a weird episode. They leave it outside the door of the teenage supervillain group so that they will get eaten. I can't frame this in any other way than attempted murder. Teen Titans don't go. Not sure if it counts as a children's movie, but in Man of Steel, Superman grabs one of the Kryptonians and flies him straight into a gas station, causing a huge explosion. The gas station had multiple cars parked at the pumps. In other words, Superman, who later on cries over having had to kill the villain intent on destroying his planet, straight up killed at least half a dozen people out of pure negligence, and didn't bat an eye. Maui trapped Moana in a cave that she had to topple the statue over to get enough momentum to hop out of in a tiny hole at the top. He basically stole her boat and left her for dead. If she blew it, she probably would have died in that cave. Hey, remember when, in Spider-Man: Far From Home, Tony Stark left a high schooler an advanced military drone system with no instructions on how to use it? Like, that's a thing that shouldn't exist at all, but much less in the hands of a teenager. Also seems pretty easy to trigger. The little girl who lets out all the dinosaurs at the end of what I think is the second Jurassic World movie. The dinosaurs are about to be gassed to death or something, and they make a moral decision to let them out since they have a right to live and survive. So the little girl lets them loose, and almost immediately, the dinosaurs are released and kill a bunch of the villains in the movie. We're supposed to cheer as the audience, I guess, that the villains are getting their comeuppance. But I mean, these dinosaurs aren't sentient or moral like humans. They weren't killing bad people, they were just killing people. And the good guys unleashed human murdering dinosaurs upon the planet. Like, no crap. Within just a few short moments, people died when they let them out of their cages. Also, her line, "They're alive too, like me, they are extinct for a reason. Pull an O'Hare and let it die, let it die, let it shrivel up and freaking die." 16 Candles. The popular guy just gives his fainted girlfriend to the nerd to abuse. And the nerd and popular guy are supposed to be the good guys and the girl the main character. There was also the thing with the underwear. Just creepy. In the first Harry Potter, Dumbledore gets to the end of the year when they count up all the points to see who was the best house. Gryffindor are dead last and Slytherin in first place, like literally 150 points ahead. Dumbledore announces Slytherin is the winner, but then he's like, hold up, I got a couple announcements for the final tally. Ron is good at chess, 50 points. Hermione is hella smart, 50 points. Harry is low-key the bravest guy I know, 100 points. Checks calculations. Gryffindor and Slytherin are tied. Oh, and Neville was able to have a direct conversation, 5 points. Gryffindor wins. Fred and George stuck a fork into a light socket, 70 points. When a supervillain do something non-life-threatening, like robbing a bank, and the superhero try to stop him by fighting him. Cars got destroyed, buildings leveled, lives of the people got endangered. The money is actually insured, they didn't even need to fight. That's kind of the plot to Megamind. The whole city gets trashed by two jerks who can't get over their childhood rivalry. Jingle All the Way is a story about a dad who punches and lies to everyone he meets over the course of a day, only to steal a toy for his kid. But that's the whole charm of Jingle All the Way. As much as I loved the show as a kid, and still like it now, I'm a lot older and more cynical. And I can't get over the plain and simple truth that SpongeBob is unforgivably annoying when you really think about it. He's an excellent cook and a good and supportive friend, and a generally good soul, but overall, yeah, I'm quite sympathetic to the heck Squidward lives in on some days. The older I get, the more I understand Squidward. In the movie Look Who's Talking Now with John Travolta and Kirstie Alley, the love interest takes the newborn baby around town while the mom sleeps. Mom had just met this guy, he didn't tell her he was taking the kid, so when she wakes up and panics she calls the police to report a kidnapping. But she stops herself halfway through and decides he is just a lovable clueless dude. Once he brings the kid home they bond, and decide he will be the babysitter from now on. I thought that movie was a weird fever dream. Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire is basically a deadbeat dad, while Pierce Brosnan really doesn't seem like that bad of a guy. From what I've read, Pierce's character was supposed to be more of an butthole and Robin's would win back the mom in the end. Robin Williams hated that script and said he wouldn't do the movie unless they made changes. Kurt Russell in Overboard. Some of the things he did in that movie are considered rape, battery, and assault by today's standards, and he was the guy we were supposed to be cheering for. Also, an incredibly crappy father. Didn't even notice his one kid couldn't read. Is anyone going to talk about how dysfunctional and verbally abusive the McAllister family is toward Kevin? That family was so fricked. Zordon picking kids to fight in his intergalactic war against Rita Repulsa as Power Rangers, and then also expecting them to have to go to school and work while doing it instead of picking adults with no responsibility who could train and focus on ending the war instead of this constant back and forth weekly fights. Not to mention all the people that must have died when buildings get destroyed over and over again. Any anime cartoon that has kids as protagonists. You can't deny that Power Rangers has some dang good pyrotechnics. In Willy Wonka, Grandpa Joe was bedridden for a seemingly long time, forcing his children or whoever to take care of him entirely, but the moment his grandson gets that golden ticket, this cocksucker jumps out of bed perfectly fine and goes on that tour instead of the child's parents who have spent years taking care of this gold-bricking piece of crap. Frick Grandpa Joe. In Home Alone 2, Kevin has his dad's credit card and access to tons of money, but all he gives the homeless pigeon lady who saved his life in the end is a useless ceramic decoration. Eternal friendship is great and all, but a bed, a heated blanket, or at least some hard cash would have been invaluable to her. At least we can excuse that by him being a kid. I definitely didn't know much about money or survival essentials when I was 10, and I was a heck of a lot less rich than Kevin's family. In Frozen, the parents kept their children in solitary confinement and built a cage dungeon for their special needs child. We've all heard about how Snape didn't really redeem himself, but in the process Dumbledore got off scot-free. He raised him just to die at the right moment and left him in the dark about so many things. He let him live in a neglectful, emotionally abusive household for years. Good guy lets the bad guy live because killing is wrong. Bad guy escapes jail and kills a bunch of innocent people. Good guy, whoa, hold on there Buster. Good guy lets him live again because killing is wrong. Bad guy escapes again and kills even more people. Also, the good guy kills dozens of the bad guy's guts, but won't kill the bad guy. Blank check. It recently went viral and I'm so glad it did, because I've been disturbed by this movie since I was a child. The very adult woman falls in love and kisses a child after saying that they can date in 6 years. This isn't a big situation where the woman fell in love with the adult version. He was a child all the way through the movie and she went on a date with him and kissed him on the fricking lips. I'm glad people are finally talking about how gross this pedophile's fantasy is. Max and Ruby. Ruby is a total B to her brother, always wanting to do things her way and stopping her brother from having some innocent fun. It's the only time I wanted to reach into the TV and strangle a cartoon character. Allow me to introduce you to Kaylau. Jack Skellington paid children to kidnap Santa so he could take over Christmas because he was bored of Halloween and sad about it. To be fair, Jack was from a place with an entirely upside down moral compass. Creepy, macabre, evil, all of that was considered just and fun. Plus he wanted Santa to be kept comfortable and safe. Doesn't make it not kidnapping, but I can give it a pass because the movie itself accepts it as wrong. This is obviously based on books that turned into movies, and I'd argue that by the time all of this is explained that they are no longer children's books or movies, but Dumbledore literally raised Harry Potter for slaughter. The whole entire Jedi Order. They go around the galaxy and recruit children younger than 10 into their space cult. Of course children want to join them because who doesn't want to learn telekinesis and get your own laser sword, but they aren't old enough to decide that because their brain is still growing, and then they don't get to see their parents for many years. They are even told many times to ignore their feelings, and that is why some of them become Sith. In Home Alone, I can understand why Kevin used the movie to make the burglars think that there were gangsters in the house. But why did he have to do the same thing to the pizza guy? He was just bringing pizza. He didn't deserve to be tricked into thinking that someone was shooting at him. Maybe not the worst, but Mr. Incredible literally put his family in danger by lying to his wife and returning to his superhero ways behind her back. When Ella Staggerall finds him after suspecting an affair, he just hugs her and somehow she forgives him. Always annoyed me. He's even more of a dong about it in an earlier version of the script. They had to tone the confrontation down because the argument got way too heated and dark. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.